All right. Welcome to episode 304 of Together BHA. We have a trio today. Craig, Robin, how are you doing? And here's a question for both of you. I asked Adam about this before. And obviously you just had your clocks go back, Craig. How do you both feel about clocks changing? Are you part of this new wave of folks that like hate it and want it disbanding that we've seen kind of rise up lately? Because I don't know about you, like when I was a kid, they just went forward and back, and I don't feel like anyone really moaned. It was just part and parcel of life. But now it seems to be picking up steam. How are you both feeling about that? And Craig, I expect your pro to be pretty biased towards keeping it in today after the extra hour of sleep you just got, but
well, yeah, it's a pain in the ass, like especially when like a lot of Latin America doesn't change. So like that's like for work, it's a pain because some people changed last week, some people changed this week, but like from a work perspective, yeah, it's a pain. I'm pro daylight savings time still. I think like just getting more daylight in the morning. I guess it boils down to whether you're a morning person or not, because you're obviously going to be anti daylight savings time if you're going to get up late and not make advantage of that hour. So, but yeah, I don't know. I'm pro. I don't know about you, Robin.
I'd prefer the extra hour in the afternoon, just because like early morning, it's like getting the kids ready for school, except you're not really like benefiting from it. The extra hour, like that end of the day would be better. But also like I'd be quite happy to just not change anything. Can't be asked with it.
all right, excellent. Totally pointless conversation to open the conversation.
Topical.
Yeah. All right, let's get started then. Do we want to? I guess let's start with Arsenal. We'll probably spend a little less time on there because it was kind of Wednesday and we lost and we're out. But there were a few things that I think are really good to talk about, and mainly around the tactical flexibility that we showed and some of the performances we had in that game from players that I think we all felt that we would be quite happy to see some of those fringe players play and see how they did against the bigger side, right? It's all well and good that you can score 4 against Barnsley, right, if you're Gomez, but how are you guys going to do as a CMAS or a Boscagli or a Coppola against a team like Arsenal at the Emirates? And we did that with that back three that we decided to transition into, which was something we've talked about on this pod a lot. We had a back three of Coppola, Van Hecke, and Boscagli with Kadioglu and De Kuyper on the wing. We also then had Palabra and Gomez in the midfield, and then almost like a front three, like narrow pincer movement almost of Georgie, Costolas, and Seamas. How did you guys find that entire performance at large, really? Did you feel encouraged by the back three? Were there any specific performances that stood out for you guys, Craig? I don't know whether you got much to watch it with it being a time zone situation, but how did you feel about the changes and kind of what are you thinking of those players that were subs and are now coming into the position where they may get game time?
I thought it wasn't too bad. I thought the first half was really good. I think it all really came down to us not finishing our chances, like, and just not being able to capitalize on the chances we were making. So like when it comes to, again, it wasn't a full sort of cup side. You did put Van Hecke in there for some stability as well, and I understand that against Arsenal. But I thought it was really good. I thought, and I think we were saying in the chat as well, like, you can see what we're trying to do for once. Like there wasn't this vagueness or ambiguity around what we were trying to achieve or how we were going to go about things. And that was borderline refreshing, right? So I thought it was good. I think obviously we came off it second half and they sort of just took advantage of those chances. And it's Arsenal. What are they already so many points clear? Like they're boring to watch, but they're effective. So like, I thought we held up well against obviously a good team, and I thought the changes and the people that played was actually pretty positive.
Yeah, agreed. First half was excellent. We should have been 2-0 up, really. Midway through the half. I'm not too disappointed overall by it because I think it was a sort of a worthwhile experiment. Babis was excellent, I thought. I obviously know he went off at half time, and that him going off at halftime and Ayari coming on seemed to be one of the big things that shifted the momentum in the other direction. But he looked excellent in the first half. So I mean, yeah, I think it proves that the team can play like that. Potentially in those games where we are going to be under the cosh a little bit more, and you need that extra defensive solidity. It definitely worked. I thought Watson was good again when he came on. Probably should have laid on a goal for Ayari, who just kind of skewed it into South London basically from that nice little cutback. And we got punished by a combination of them bringing on their strength off the bench and a couple of kind of individual errors. Really, it is really one of those games that it really could have gone the other way. I don't really feel like it was a 2-goal difference between the teams, but promising signs, I would say.
Yeah, I thought it was quite ironic that I thought the biggest mistake Hertzler made was the one he never really makes, and that was making the subs as early as they did. Ayari coming on changed the game entirely for me. Costolas should have stayed on. He was causing them all sorts of problems. He was doing really well. And Ayari just never got into the game in the same way. It was really tough for him coming on at halftime with Arsenal all over us immediately. I felt a bit sorry for him. It just was a real big struggle for him to settle in. And Gomez never carried that same sort of threat going forward. It felt like they didn't feel the same fear, and they shouldn't, because he's a totally different type of player, right? Costolas was really just running at them, and that's just not the way Gomez plays football. But I thought, and Doom in the chat has said that Boscagli's came out and said he's frustrated by the lack of minutes, and talking about how well Dunkey played at the weekend. I thought he was superb. There has to become a point where you have to venture into that back three more often, simply to give him more minutes, it feels like. Because I totally agree with Doom as well. And I don't know how you guys feel about it, but Dunk hasn't done a lot to lose his spot this season, compared to recent years. He's been a lot better. Maybe that.
And do you think that might be because he knows he's got competition? He's got he's now got legitimate someone breathing down his neck.
I mean, it very well could be, right? It does tend to raise players' performances up. I don't think it's a coincidence that we bring in, for the first time in ages, some proper class strikers in João Pedro and Georgie, and now Simas and Costolas, and we're now looking at Welbeck's best form of his entire career, right? I think it's fired him up more than ever, and he's been unbelievable. But I guess Doom in the chat is asking the question, and Craig, I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. What did you feel about the back three? I've been super vocal in wanting to see it. I was so thrilled when I knew we were about to roll it out, even though it was against the probable champions-elect, even though it's a bit early to say it, they are flying. How did you feel about that back three in general? And I guess the extra question would be, not so much do you think we'll see more of it, because I think we've done it once. It would be strange never to see it again. How do you think he would integrate players like Minte or Matoma into that? And is it almost a case of the personnel we have simply not being possible to be compatible with that three?
I think so. To answer the first question, I feel like we're soft launching it in the cup, right? That's how it feels. It's sort of, there's that experiment or that sort of testing phase where, yeah, you're in a knockout round of the cup, but you have this chance to mix things up a little bit, give people the game time that maybe you can't afford to in the league, and that's great. I think you're also just spot on that I don't think this crop of players necessarily fits a 5 at the back, because you're looking at what, a 5-2-3 or a 5-3-2. You're then talking about 3 in the middle and an extra centre back, and you're talking about not being able to have that flexibility with the front 4, right? So you've got your Matoma, your Georgie, Welbeck, and Minte. You can see them being quite fluid in where they are and how they interact with things. With a 5 at the back, you have less flexibility at the top because you just simply have too many people backwards. Or you need your wing backs to do multiple jobs at the same time. Minte can do that right wing back role. I have no problem with that whatsoever. You've seen it before in some instances. Matoma can't do that, and that's where you lose your Matoma, right? I appreciate he's injured already, so you've already lost him, but like you then don't have a space for Matoma if you do go to a 5 at the back, because you do need a 10 and a 9, and then you do need 3 midfielders essentially, or at least 2 advanced midfielders. So unless you're going to change where Matoma plays, it's not going to be as effective. So there's those sort of calls that you make. There's an opportunity cost to everything, right? You play 5 at the back, you do get your De Kuipers and your Kadioglu's more involved, and you get them in those areas where you want them to be. But also you do lose your flexibility up top, which is arguably one of our greatest strengths. So I think you'll see it a little bit more in the cup for sure. I just don't think it's something we can roll out week in, week out, because you're losing too much by going to it from a personnel perspective. But that's my opinion.
No, I think you're spot on, Craig. I think if everybody's fit, then a back 3 just doesn't make any sense. Like, literally, if everyone's fit, I think if everyone's picking their best 11 from everyone being fit, it is the front 4 that you just mentioned. And if you have that front 4, then you can't have that 3 at the back. It's really difficult, because I appreciate you want to keep Boskagli happy to an extent, but I'm completely with you. It's just not quite the fit for the squad, and I guess maybe that's at the heart of some of Hertzler's, not indecision, but sort of desire to try and keep everybody happy. Because I think I read yesterday that yesterday was his like 48th or 49th game in the Premier League, and he's not named the same team twice in that time. And I guess he's split between probably favouring that 3 at the back, right? Because that was the style that we expected him to come in with. So he's obviously got this, he favours that system. But you've then got to be pragmatic to actually look at the players that you've got and go, right, what's our best 11? Almost you chuck formation out the window and go, who are our best 11 players? And if you pick them, it does, to me at least, it looks like a 4-2-3-1. That's how you get our best 11 into formation for me. But it's good to have. I think it's good that we've proved that, like as Craig said, Matoma's out at the moment, so actually you could play that back 3, without having to have a tough decision on him. So I guess it's good to have options.
I think Doom in the chat also asking if it's possible for Mitoma to be like a left 10 that stays wide. I think that's really where, and like we're getting really into like the nerdy stuff, but like I think that's exactly where you would want to go with it, right? For both Minte and Mitoma, you would be quite happy to see them go full Pep and invert on the way through, right? You'd be quite happy to see De Kuiper and 30 especially, who is incredibly tidy with the ball at his feet, come in more narrow and support attacking narrowly. And you can trust Minte to track back if you want him to, right? As that wing back role. And Mitoma isn't that bad at it either, right? Like he's quick and he's very defensively responsible. So I suppose like from that point of view, we're not seeing them in training. We know that that's not their biggest strength either. But technically speaking, like you wouldn't be super upset with seeing Mitoma go all the way over to the touchline and De Kuiper tuck in a little bit if you wanted to do the exact thing that he's talking about there in the chat.
We kind of had it in reverse yesterday, right? Because you had Ferdy was essentially playing on the wing, and you had Gomez basically playing a 10.5, if you want to call it that. Basically that sort of narrow winger. And Ferdy was basically, stretching the pitch. So it's just whether or not that would work if you put Mitoma in that role. Because you'd have 2 players who would naturally want to be drifting out wide. That's obviously where Ferdy has his, does his best work, as far as I can see. It's difficult. I guess that's that archetypal nice problem to have for a manager. On the one hand, that you've got so many options. As we've seen, it doesn't help trying to tie down consistency when you've got, so many decisions to make over who fits where.
It is tough. You're asking about and you get into that weird conversation of can you use them there versus is that where they're best? And that's sort of where you could go, yeah, you can have Matoma as a left 10, but like he's not going to have the same impact as he would as a left winger. And holding him to that same standard in a very different role with different responsibilities isn't fair. So, and you can say that with Minte as well, but I think he's so defensively solid that you kind of want to play him at a right wing back. If you are going to go down that route, you kind of have to. So you then lose some of the Minte counter-attacking stuff if you do play him at wing back. So then there's that again, that cost of doing one against the other. I don't think there's a wrong answer. I just think there's a better right answer somewhere. And you're going to lose something by swapping people around. So it's ultimately finding that balance. I'm glad it's not our job, but like you have a very good squad of players here, and you're trying to eke out the best in 11 different people and your 5 subs. So it feels like we're edging towards this 5 at the back, but we're just trying to find out who's best where. And how does that work? Do your wing backs tuck in which case Minte is not the answer? Do your wing backs overlap, in which case Minte is the right answer? So it's like, it's not, again, fucking nerd alert, but like it's around how you even use that formation in the first place and who's best in each of those positions.
Yeah, and to add to that, you don't want to lose that Minte threat, right? Because we're about to transition to a Leeds game where I know Gomez back to brace and Wells was great, but like Minte was the guy, right? Like we're going to eventually get to the point that every goal we talk about, we're going to talk about Yankuba Minte being a massive orchestrator in that goal. So you don't want to lose that, even though you love his defensive solidity and the pace that like I just really enjoy watching players shit their pants because they just don't realize how quick he is until he's on them. Even though they'll watch him on the pitch with them, they'll have the ball at their feet and they'll just go, "Oh my god, he's here already!" Like just like kick the ball away as quickly as possible. He's just insanely fast. But you would want to you'd want to keep that to be able to go forward, right? So like that's another one of those things, like you say, Craig. Like, can he play there? Yeah. Is he best there? We're probably seeing from the 10 games so far this season. We're at 10 now, right? I think we're at 10. That actually Minte is by far and away one of the best right wingers in the Premier League right now, honestly. So like you're not going to want to lose that either.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, we've had the same discussion with Gruder and Jorginho, right? Like, and the kind of Welbeck, that conundrum of how do you fit, that there was those games where you wanted Jorginho and Gruder both on the pitch, and you want Minte on the pitch as well. So how do there's these conundrums all over the place.
And he had a conundrum for this weekend after some really good performances in the middle of the week. And we had a visiting Leeds side that, although they were sat on 11 points before the game, and they're still sat on 11 now, spoiler alert, but it came into the season with 3 wins, 2 draws, and 4 losses. And on paper, that's pretty good for a newly promoted team. And we allowed every single newly promoted team to take a point from us at the Amex last season. So if we wanted progress, we needed to beat them yesterday. And obviously we ended up doing so quite comfortably. But one thing that really stood out to me after the fact was where their wins have came from. And I said to you guys, it was West Ham, Wolves, and Everton first game of the season at Leeds, which is always like, Ellen Road, first game of the season, that kind of throws form book out the window, but Everton are also quite poor anyway. So they're winning the games that they need to win if they're going to stay up, right? They're playing against the bad teams and taking those 6-pointers their way. But before we even get into the lineup, like I really thought Leeds are probably the worst team I've seen in a long time at the Amex yesterday. Like they were so poor.
I mean, they just had nothing, right? I think, especially with their press or what they're trying to be good at, like trying to play out from the back. Like if you want to keep the ball, you also need a good press. Like you can't just fall back into 11 men behind the ball and try and play out at the same time. Like it reminded me of Southampton last season, really, in where they were and what their philosophy was and how they just couldn't do it. And yeah, I think they were really poor. I really didn't understand the gameplay. Like they had some really good chances, but I think they were sort of self-inflicted from us, to be honest, in just some poor play. But yeah, they didn't have a lot. I think Calvert-Lewin again has been poor. It's just a poor signing, I think, in what they need. They've got Pirro on the bench already. Like, I don't see the point, really. So yeah, it was a strange one. But again, you look at the fixture, you go, we just have to beat what's in front of us. Like, luckily, like, they didn't put up too much apart from a couple of chances.
Yeah, I think Okafor's good, isn't he? Like, he seems to be the one who's like got the quality they need. Probably helped that he was playing up against someone who's not a natural right back. I mean, Weaver's growing into that role, and I don't mind him there. But when he comes up against a genuinely quick and skillful winger, he's going to come off second best, like, more often than not. I thought Okafor was the only one of their team I looked at and was like, yeah, you can see he was sort of beating his man and then looking around for anybody else on a similar wavelength. It was just like no one there. So I think Craig's right. There was that period of time in the sort of beginning of the second half where the momentum was beginning to shift a little bit, and it was mainly through him running at the defence pretty much, and as I say, Calvert-Lewin just not being able to do anything. But they were largely poor. Like, no game. Like, there didn't seem to be a game plan. I'm with Craig on that. It just seemed to be at various points. It was like, give the ball to Okafor, see what he can do, and that seemed to be it.
Yeah, it's funny because at times this season it feels like that's our strategy, except Minte. Just lob the ball out to Minte and see what he can do. Except the difference is Minte is really, really good this season, so we're getting away with it somewhat. But obviously the changes that were made in the lineup was pretty much wholesale. Straight back to the same kind of side that beat Newcastle and lost to United. Verbruggen back in goal, Kadiogo at left back, Weaver at right back, Duncan Van Hecker, Ayari Baleba, who notably got 90 minutes yesterday, Gomez, Ruta, Minte, and Welbeck up front. Most of the subs look much of a muchness as you would expect. But I thought for that opening 10 minutes, I thought we looked really good. Like, I thought we really came out looking to cause problems for this team. And yeah, we had 4 shots in the first 13 minutes. Like, we piled it on early. And within I think it was 11 minutes, 10 minutes, we immediately turned the corner already. But I thought we were really good. I thought we made a really good job of just about everything. And I love that the goal ultimately came from a long throw that eventually found itself out the other side of the wing. The pass from Minte into Weaver was unbelievable. And of course, it's Danny Welbeck there to stroke home the goal. I guess the big question I have is that it's the same one Robin brought up yesterday, but I've been bringing it over to anyone who will listen as well. Like, if it continues, he's like, it's an absolute travesty if he's not on the plane, isn't it? Like, he's just playing so well.
Yeah, he is. I mean, we'll find out on Friday, right? Because that's when the next squad is for the next international break. But I think the thing that's in his favour when it comes to this is that Tuchel doesn't give a shit about the future, right? Tuchel is fully based on winning the World Cup. That's when his contract runs until. He's not bothered. We've seen he's not bothered about bedding in people. So if he pragmatically looks at it and goes, we need a backup to Harry Kane, who's the English striker who is the most similar in style and is performing best? Like, there's no one else in the conference. Like, Watkins isn't really scoring goals at the moment. Like, Welbeck is the leading English scorer in the division. Like, I mean, his age will come into the conversation. I don't think it really should, because, you know, he's playing like someone who's 10 years younger. He should be in. I don't really want him to be in, because you know what would happen, which is that he'd get like a season-ending injury in England training. Like, he should be in, really. Like, if you take off your sort of, you know, Brighton specs, like, who else is there? Like, who is the alternative?
I've seen a lot of people say Ivan Toney out in Saudi, but I just don't think that's what you would want. He may bang in 55 goals this season, right? But like, Welbs has scored 6 in 5 now, 6 in his last 5 Premier League games. Like, that's, you don't just score that comfortably, right? Like, and Toney was great when he was in the Prem, but like, the Saudi league. I don't know if you saw that that penalty decision for Al Nassr yesterday, but like it's just it's not a legitimate competition. Like it's not great.
No. And I think the thing about Welbs is look at the goals. I mean, he's scoring again. He scored 2 against Newcastle, scored 2 against Chelsea. He's not scoring in, obviously he did yesterday, but he's not scoring in sort of dead rubbers, as it were. He's scoring against some of the best teams in the division.
Yeah, you should be penalised for going to a pony league in Saudi. So I don't want Tony there anyway. It depends on Watkins, really. I think you've also got it in the chat too. Like Stephen in the chat just says, like, he's not going to be playing, but like it's just having him around these younger players. If you are going to choose these younger players, you've got Welbeck, who's been there, done that, like knows what he's doing, and works really hard. Like he's probably in the best shape of his entire career, and he's 34. So like, it does get to the point where he has to be undeniable. I don't think it will happen for this upcoming internationals. I think it'll be too weird of a decision, even though everyone can see it. But like, if Welbeck continues at this pace and he then breaks the Premier League goals again this season, and he's on 12, 13, 14 by February, March time, you have to sit down and have a serious conversation around he has to be on the plane at that point. So like 6 and 5 is undeniable from a club perspective. But if he continues and gets 12, 13, 14, like into the new year, then you're starting talking about, well, who else would we take? Like you kind of have to take him at that point. So like, I agree. You have to sort of take note now. I think it's probably too early. If he gets to 12 or 13 by January, then you start saying, well, he has to be on it. Like there's no way, and it's a travesty if he isn't, as opposed to it's a coup if he does. But I'm also with Robin that I don't want him to go either, because his injury record alone suggests that he's going to roll his ankle in that first international friendly against someone that doesn't even matter. So that's what we don't want.
It'll be that goddamn MetLife Arena, won't it? It'll do it on that New York turf,
those 6G turfs.
Yeah, that's what it'll do. It'll do both ACLs within about 3 minutes on that stupid turf. I don't know how they're allowed to carry, to even have that be a thing, to be honest, in this World Cup. It's so bad. But I thought from there on, after the goal, I feel like we kind of largely went a little bit passive. And obviously it's quite nice that they were just so poor. Like they had quite a lot of the ball after that, but they didn't really do anything with it. I thought they were really just totally ineffective. I think it ended with, they had 2 shots on target all game. But we allowed them 60% possession in that first half after the goal. We allowed them a lot of the ball, and like I said, they did nothing with it, and we countered quite well. But ultimately, I don't know about you guys, but it felt like we were going in at halftime 1-0 up in a game we could have been 3 or 4 up in, and it felt like, oh no, not again. Let's not do this again. I don't know about you two, but was that the vibe for you guys? It was the vibe all around me at the ground. We were just
I think I put in the chat somewhat tongue in cheek that was like, it's going to be 1-1, right? Because we've seen this script more times than anyone would really be comfortable seeing this script. And I think when you ally it to the fact that we've not been great at taking our chances generally over the last few games. We've wasted an awful lot of chances that you think, you can just see it coming. So I was a little bit nervous at halftime, and then especially when the first kind of 10-15 minutes of the second half, where it seemed like the momentum was with them. It kind of felt like the lead. I mean, they said it on Match of the Day when I was watching it. It was that period where Calvert-Lewin had a couple of chances just before our second goal, actually. We had a couple of chances in a 2 or 3 minute spell. And the Match of the Day commentator at the time said it felt like our lead was a little bit precarious. And I think that's fair. That's what it felt like to me. Was that we needed some. I put in our chat, it felt like we needed to freshen, we needed some subs on, because it felt like the game was drifting.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was as well. And funnily enough, Farker did our job for us, right? He's the one who made a double sub that actually changed the momentum altogether. They looked pretty disjointed after that set of subs, right? Stack came on and Daniel James as well. And I thought that taking off Longstaff and Tanaka, they looked like two of the players that looked quite keen on going forward. Tanaka especially looked very comfortable with the ball at his feet, even if it was pretty ineffective. But like they were starting to make things work. And I think I'm not sure which one of you said it, maybe both of you, but Calvert-Lewin being as poor as he was, like it feels like for him, like I wouldn't be sleeping well yesterday, like overnight. Because I am, as Calvert-Lewin, the prototypical striker that gives Lewis Dunk nightmares. And if I am kept in his back pocket all game, I'm dusted. Like, right, I'm totally off it. Like, I've lost mega amounts of steps because that kind of striker, the Mitrovic, the Calvert-Lewin, even go down the leagues, right? Like, and you get to like League One, and when we were playing against teams that just had that big mobile striker, that's just like a problem. And Dunkey just struggles with them. Coincidentally, Van Hecker is phenomenal against him, right? Like he loves making Haaland his bitch, right? Like he loves doing that. So for me, like if you're struggling like Calvert-Lewin was against Dunkey in every single way, like it's got to be pretty depressing knowing how good he used to be. But that set of subs changed everything, and it looked like they just didn't know quite where they were supposed to be after that. And obviously, I think it's 3 minutes after those subs, Diego Gomez bagged a second. And I was really happy for him. I don't know about you, Craig, but like he did really well against Barnsley, but like he's just struggled, hasn't he? Like he's got plenty of running in him. Like I'm never gonna say he doesn't try, which for some players over the years, right? Like Ciso, like he doesn't try when he gets annoyed. Like Gomez seems to try harder, but he's just not been quite there. So I was really happy to see him back twice yesterday.
I like Diego Gomez. I might be in a smaller group there, but I think you're right. Is it like he has this sort of terrier-like nature where he's just constantly running, he's constantly a thorn in people's sides, and he's scoring more goals than probably even people think. In that, I think he's already reached Enciso's tally in like 40 less games or something silly like that, right? Like I know he scored 4 against Barnsley, I get that, but like he's able to be in the right place at the right time as well, and that's just a knack. Like that's just something that you have. And like, yeah, he's not your stereotypical winger, he's not your stereotypical attacker, but he has a hell of a shot on him. He really works hard defensively and wherever you need him to be, and he has a knack for being at the right place at the right time. So there's those sort of combination of factors where you go, hang on, we've probably got a really good player here. It just like sometimes he fails the eye test because sometimes it just doesn't go right. But you know, at the same time, like I don't think that's an individual problem. I think that's a team problem, in that we do have some games where we are just invisible and really struggle. So I don't think that's just him. But I'm happy for him. I think again, yesterday, I hit Ruta's dummy was great. I think it, and again, just happens to be at the right place at the right time and scores. And then you start to feel a little bit more comfortable because, like you said, their subs changed it for the worse. And then you go and grab a second straight away.
Just how good was Minte for that goal as well, Robin? Like he is again the one who created everything. I thought Ruta played well yesterday, but I can see more and more what Hertzler noted about him in that he's struggling without João Pedro. He is now the focus when people are looking to defend us from attacks. Like he's the 10 and he's the guy, and they are very concerned without Mitoma, especially. I feel is hamstringing him a lot. They are now like, okay, we need to mark Minte and Ruta. The others, we'll just kind of see what happens. If we can stop them two, we're okay. When it was, we have to stop Georgie, Ruta, Jorginho, Minte, and Mitoma, it left him that extra bit of space. But I can see what Fabian is saying in that he is struggling without Pedro. But I thought he tried. It was again, like it's a bit like Gomez. He tried really hard yesterday. And against that backline of Leeds, it was almost all you needed was to try really hard because they couldn't cope with the pressure that people were putting on. But what did you make of that Minte play for the second goal, Craig? I think Robin's having a bit of a riot over there. So what did you make of that second the assist for Minte?
Yeah, Minte's phenomenal, isn't he? I think Ruta again. You're just getting fruits for your labor, like you said. Like you're trying. It's not a great defense. In all honesty, I think I think just it's tireless. Like being able to run for the ball, like make things happen, especially for that third goal as well. Like that's all Ruta's doing because he's just running and just badgering people left, right, and us, and you then find yourself in a good position. He then picks out Gomez, and you're laughing right at 3-0. But yeah, I agree. I think he is struggling because he's the one that is being marked, and I think it was really good to see him involved in 2 of the goals yesterday because again, I don't think he gets the credit that maybe he should. So.
But yeah, I think you're all correct. Like I say, Mente is just phenomenal, really. Like when he has you don't think he's got any space to work with for that second goal. He's really tight to the touchline. He's not got that much space behind the defender, and yet he comfortably breezes past him and manages to get across him. It's a nightmare to defend against. I know you said, Josh, earlier that he's on you so quickly, but I just can't imagine having to defend because you think you've sort of got him. So you've got him tight to the touchline. You've not left a lot of space behind you. So you think you've sort of got him boxed off, and then he just makes you look like an idiot within a nanosecond.
Do you know who he reminds me of? And I think that's why I like him so much, to be fair, because I'm such a massive hardcore fan of Kazenga Loaloa. But he reminds me of Kazenga. And there was something Gus Poyet said about Kazenga that always sticks in my head. And I feel like he is very much, for me, watching him live and watching him on the TV is probably actually better because you can see that width that he covers more so, right? Like on a camera. I don't know a single player I've seen for us or anyone else faster than Yankuba Minto over the first 5-7 yards since Kazenga Loaloa. That push and run that he does is just so reminiscent of it, but at an elite level almost. That, like, funnily enough, they both came from Newcastle as well. But I just thought his ability to just push off on that pace is just insane. Like, you can't deal with it. And I just hope to God his knees stay intact where Kazenga's didn't, right? Like, because he could have been a top level footballer if he would have continued developing, and he just got murked by his injuries. But I thought he was phenomenal. And then definitely want to chat about that third one because that was where Georgie got his flowers, I think. And I loved that the celebration that Gomez came over and was like, "Don't cheer me, like cheer him," because he basically handed it to me on a silver platter because like everyone could see he did. But I just thought it was phenomenal work. Like, and that's what you need to do as a 10 that's struggling, I think, like to get the ball at your feet. Just harry and piss people off. And I love that Welbs was bought into helping him. Like Welbs' contribution yesterday, like they showed it on Match of the Day, Robin, I'm sure you saw, like the amount of times he was tracking back into his own box defending, like the distance he was covering was just insane. But I loved him helping out Georgie, and his ability to keep the ball at his feet and out strengthen defenders is just mad. Like we don't have many like that. And be able to keep that center of balance, like while he was being shoved basically as hard as possible by the Leeds player to then square it in for Gomez, who slammed that second one home. At that point, the game was dead. Funnily enough, it was another sub right before that as well for Farker, so he wasn't doing well on subs to goal ratio. But I thought he played really well yesterday, and he's such an emotional guy, right? Like, I'm far more in tune with Georgie's personal life than anyone else's because Brit's obsessed with his horses. So like I get told about his horses all the time. So like I know more about him than most, but like, he's a very emotional player. So like it would have been tough for him to play these yesterday because he loves them very much. And like it must have been tough to just like absolutely rinse them for the third goal. I don't know about you, but I thought he was
and he looked a little bit sheepish, didn't he, with the celebration? Like he wanted to do the classic like I'm not celebrating thing. Let's say he thought he got away with it, assisting it. You think you can sort of be on the sidelines of the celebration almost. You don't have to get that involved. But they say when Gomez was basically pulling him into the middle, he did look a little bit embarrassed. But I mean, he's got no right. I mean, when the ball's basically going out of play and it sort of gets flicked back in from going out, he's got absolutely no right to end up where he does on the byline, going through 4 or 5 players, just as you say, with a mixture of pure strength and just great ability on the ball. And to get there and still manage to put a pinpoint cross in that goes through, again, 3 or 4 players to end up with Gomez effectively having basically an open goal. It's phenomenal. And I hope it does wonders for his confidence.
Yeah, he's and from a human perspective as well, like it couldn't happen to a nicer guy, right? Like I think that's the thing, is that you can see he's genuine in what he does. And again, he's playing against his former team, like he's obviously has an affinity for them. Didn't want to be involved whatsoever, but he had to be anyway, because he's just really good. I think, yeah, it's. And then at 3-0, like you're kind of coasting, right? Like it kind of gets to a point where it's a dead rubber. They're still not pressing, as if it was still 0-0, and the game just sort of peters out.
It did feel, and I think someone said it, Steven in the chat, welcome by the way, he said it felt like after we scored for the rest of the half, we were playing for a clean sheet. After the third one, we definitely were playing for the clean sheet. That's how it felt to me. And he's talking also about Newcastle. Do you think they regret selling Minte? Like, obviously, they kind of had no choice. They had to sell someone for the PSR stuff, but I'm sure they look back on it and they can probably pick a handful of players they'd probably rather have got rid of now than Yankuba Minte, watching the way he's grown.
I guess the gamble they had was that he'd never played in the Premier League, right? So they knew that he'd done it in Holland in the top division, but we've signed players that have done it in the top division in Holland, who've then very much not done it in the Premier League. So I can empathize,
right? Like, look at Memphis Depay, right? Everyone was loving, like, thinking he was going to tear it up. Went to United.
Yeah. So I can appreciate, like, I think that is an awful lot of natural. That's hindsight, isn't it? But like, I think if you make the decision at the time, if someone comes in and goes, Brighton are offering us 30 million quid for a player who's never played in the Premier League, and we don't really know a huge amount about what he's going to be like, you can absolutely see why they took the money when they needed that money. Like, it's a shame for them that it's turned out as it was, but I don't think there's much that probably thought that he was going to be this good in the Premier League this quickly. I might be wrong. Like, he might have. I didn't really know a huge amount about him when he was in Holland, but I don't think necessarily. Like you said, there've been some super high-profile players, more high-profile than him, that have come from Holland and then not done it. So it's a long way of saying I think Newcastle probably are quite sanguine about it, in that it was definitely the right decision at the right time.
We've got a bit of a knack, though, haven't we, for taking in those players from the Dutch league. We've only had 1 or 2 misses. Obviously, the big one was Ali Reza, but for the most part, like Veltman, Weaver, Boskagli looks like he should be that next guy. Obviously, Minte, who went there and played for a little while. Like, it seems like we have quite a knack of grabbing them. I feel like
we're in a good run, because I mean, we had like, where did Locadia come from? Did he come straight from Holland?
Dutch league? I think he may have done. He came straight from the local.
I mean, we had like Elvis Manu, right? I mean, we had a run. We had a run of players. We were in a run of like not having good Dutch players, like from the
Roland Bergkamp.
Yeah, like we had it. Now we're in, like I say, we're in a little, like, we're definitely in a peak of players that we're getting from the Dutch.
Even Danny Holler, you remember?
Yeah, I mean, Danny Holler is actually
legend.
So yeah, I mean, we're in a
David Proper. Though we did well with David Proper.
Yeah, that's true. David Proper was good.
Just for that one foul that he did in the middle of the park.
Yeah, we fouled about 4 players in one. Yeah.
Well, the next one.
That video is still probably popping around on Twitter. Like,
yeah, it has to be.
It's the best.
It really is.
It should be.
But yeah, so I think going back to Stephen's point, I think Newcastle just had to at the time. And if you get offered 30 million quid for someone who's an unknown quantity, then you take the money, don't you? Especially when you need 30 million quid. Basically.
When you're desperately in need of it without losing points.
And you've got you basically got a day to make a decision.
Yeah, it's not good. So. Obviously, after that, made a lot of subs, as did Leeds, again, to try and do something. But as you say, they did nothing. Tom Watson, Simas, Costolas all came on before 90 for Minte, Welbeck and Gomez. And then I thought it was a nice touch for Fabian to do it for the guys. I liked him bringing on Oriola and Joe Knight. Get those nerves out of like that very first time you're stepping onto the pitch, right, in a Premier League. Like, get it out the way with 90 seconds to go, and just like then the next time they've done this little bit already. Like, it's all that habit and routine, right? Like, if we're ever going to need them in the future, the awe of that has gone. Like, they're doing the same thing again. I love that. And we also then got a Georgie cheer, right? Like, we got to give Georgie a cheer on his day that he was probably a bit stressed. So I thought that was good. And yeah, I thought Leeds were piss poor across the board. I think obviously we won 3-0 and that's fabulous, but I thought we were largely quite shit between goal 1 and goal 2, to be honest. And I don't know if you wanted to agree with me on that, because it is quite a negative thing after a 3-0 win. And after the second goal, I thought we just turned it on and like looked like the team we should be playing as quite often. But I thought we were really far too passive. And we were quite lucky, really. We were playing such a bad team. But maybe we wouldn't have been so passive against a better team. I don't know, because against Newcastle, we certainly weren't. So it's hard to call. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I think go back to what you said at the beginning, which is, we don't tend to do very well against these sort of teams. And obviously we don't tend to keep a clean sheet. So the fact that I think those two elements like cancel out the not being that great for the middle section of the game. Like, I think take it and run. Don't look back.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. There are periods in every game this season where you go, actually, that was pretty poor. And it's hard to keep it going for 90 minutes straight, right? And it's those small margins that you always talk about, where like easily one of those Leeds chances could have hit the back of the net. You're going in at 1-1, and you go, well, like then it's a completely different game, and sort of. I guess it's all relative to the strength of the opponent. We're fortunate they just weren't very good yesterday, and you're able to sort of ride those waves and get out scot-free. I think the clean sheet is even more important. I think putting on the two academy guys clinging onto a clean sheet, knowing how important it is, I was like, okay, that's a bold move, but we ride. But yeah, ultimately, yeah, the really good way to see out the game, and you move on to another couple of games now, which are just as important. I think we have to just keep this going, and just see how we fare, because yeah, we need to start picking up points.
Yeah, only the small matter of Palace away next, so no pressure, Fabian. But I mean, it goes. I feel like we say it quite often of how close the Prem can be, but this year especially, like, it's just extra weird. It seems extra strange, like just less consistent across the board. Between 2nd and 17th, there's only 8 points, and like that's not much.
It's
like
mad. In November as well. Like, I know you're saying like Leeds were one of the poorest teams you've seen. Like, I still don't think they'll be in the bottom 3. Like,
they're not even. They're 5 points clear. So like,
yeah, I mean, they'll stay up. I think they'll stay up comfortably. That's the thing.
It's a very strange division, and we're seeing it again today, right? Like, as I'm speaking, West Ham are 2-1 up still at home to Newcastle, and are about to see that out, and that puts Newcastle below us. Again, like what? Like, that didn't look like that 3-4 games ago. And Newcastle have proper gone off the boil over the last kind of 5 games. Draw at Bournemouth, losing to us, losing to Arsenal, and then scraping a win against Forest, scraping a win against Fulham, and then getting battered by West Ham. Because I don't know about you, but like, I watched the first half, and like West Ham battered them. Like, they could have been 4 or 5 up. They were bad, and I think you're just seeing it across the board. Chelsea beating Tottenham randomly. Liverpool on a terrible run go and beat Villa, who have just been in a really good run. You have these weird ones coming up, and obviously,
yeah, Newcastle have been in a good run other than us, haven't they? Like, I think we're the only game that they've lost in the last how many before today.
No, they've been crap the last 5. The first 6, they were really good. They've been rubbish the last couple of games. Their last 5 games was draw against Bournemouth, lose against Arsenal, beat Forest, lose to us, beat Fulham, lose to West Ham. Before that, I think they won like 4 on the bounce. Like, they were really good opening the season, but they've just fell off. It's bizarre.
Who did they beat in midweek? That was a cup, wasn't it? And they beat Spurs. They knocked out Spurs, didn't they? Yeah.
Yeah, that was the cup. But that bottom, I mean, did any of you see a way back for Wolves. I know it's early to say it, but they've sacked Vitor Pereira today, and they're
Didn't
looking
they've got
at
they've got an identical? Didn't they do the identical? Like their run of form is identical to last season.
Yeah,
they started and they stayed up. So
and they're looking at bringing in Gary O'Neill back as well. Is my thing I saw today. Like I know that it feels like this league is definitely a lot harder to stay up in this season if you're a team that are sat on 2 points after 10 games than it was last year. Because for me, I don't know about you, but like for me last year, like I think it goes to show how poor Ipswich, Saints, and Leicester were with the way they started the season compared to now, because they were in touching distance of like 15th. They are 9 points behind 15th now. There's no way they're miles off. They've got to win 3 games and hope.
Yeah, they're terrible. But I think you also look at how Ipswich, Southampton, and who else was the third? Went down.
Leicester.
You look at how those three teams are doing this year as well.
Poor.
And they're all poor. Considering, I mean, I don't think any of them have necessarily sold, but neither of them have had sort of fire sales. So there's no reason they shouldn't be top end of the championship, and yet all 3 of them are pretty rubbish this year. But yeah, so I mean, Wolves could, I say, the fact that they did it last year shows that they could, in theory, do it this year. But obviously, they've lost Nuri and they've lost Cunha. So it's sort of, what do you expect if you were already struggling, and then you get rid of legitimately your 2 best players, and you don't really replace them with the same quality? You've got your one actual striker who really wanted to go to Newcastle, so he's probably quite annoyed that didn't happen. Like, what do you expect?
And you don't have your Southamptons and your Leicesters of the world. Like,
Yeah,
you know, I think last season there was just 3 really bad teams. And, you know, whatever you want to look at it. So, like, this year, I don't think, well, I think they'll be one of them, right? Is it like, I think that bar is just a little bit higher with Burnley, Leeds, and especially Sunderland, how well they're doing at the moment, is that bar is higher. And then you take like Josh said, you take a look at the table, and there's 8 points between 15 different teams. You know, you win a couple of games, and all of a sudden you find yourself in a Champions League spot, and then you lose a couple, and you're back down to 15. Like it's weird, but it makes for a good league. You know, like you talk about, you know, obviously Arsenal are kind of running away with it, but we'll see. But you know, a competitive league is a good one, right? I say that because we're on 15 points and we should be okay this year. But like it's competitive, and you've got some players that are doing really well.
No, and I think because we said it last season, right? Like, you've got to about February, and basically both ends of the table were kind of sewn up. We knew who was going down. We knew who was going to win the league. The only jeopardy was really who's going to finish fourth, like who's going to get in the Champions League and who's going to get in Europe. Like, there was zero jeopardy in the rest of the league from like a worryingly long amount of the season. And this year, I think maybe it'll have Arsenal sort of running away with it. Probably not. City will probably do their, you know, sort of thing when they get to Christmas and then basically win every game until the end of the year. But I think everything else is going to be very much up for grabs until the end of the year.
I think that's the thing with Arsenal. They love a collapse. So, like, there's no way that they're definitely going to run away with it right now. I talked about champion select, but like, I'm giving them too much credit, aren't I? Like, they are absolutely going to collapse on January 1st. They do it every year, and they do well. They just collapse. It's in their system. Talking of Palace next, they obviously had a phenomenal start to the season, and yet here they are 1 point above us, 1 place above us. After all that like delight at the start of the season, they're just 1 point better off, which again is like, one, I hate them, but like, two, it just goes to show that it is a close league, right? Like, they had a phenomenal start and they're now sat in the same spot as us, and they are not exactly sitting Europa light either, right? Like, they're playing in Europe and not exactly being this phenomenal football team. So they are struggling a little bit more, but a good win this weekend against Brentford. They had to win that at home. When you're looking at that squad, are you just same again, you think? Or would you like to see a change or two, given the manner of the occasion, I suppose would probably be the right term?
I think it might be one, like, I know we talked about the back three, but you look at where Palace's strengths are, and it's their pace up front, isn't it? Really, we know they're a little bit shaky at the back. Mark Gahey aside, because who's their right back? Munoz, isn't it? He basically just doesn't really want to defend; just wants to do anything but defend. So I'd be leaning towards a back three just to give us a bit more solidity against their pace up front. I mean, do that, and I mean, if you're offering me a 1-1 draw, I'm trotting off into the sunset with that right now. So I'd be tempted to do that.
Let's be a bit more ambitious, Robin. 0-0, keep the clean sheet.
But no, I think that's, if I'm looking at it and you go, the defense has not been at its best overall for the season so far, and I think they are obviously one of the best. They are one of the best at counter-attacking teams in the division. So I think an extra bit of solidity in defence is probably where I would go if I was picking the team.
A tough one, isn't it? I don't think I would change too much. I think if Matoma was available, I think you would try and shoehorn him in there just because he's just an elite player. Otherwise, I think you kind of just keep it as it was and just, I guess, reward the same team from the win to go and say, okay, go and handle this. I wouldn't mind us dropping to a 5 if the game goes well, right? I really wouldn't mind. We haven't seen De Kuiper for a little bit. I think he's a good attacker as well that can come in and just sort of replace Ferdy when needed. But otherwise, it's just a bit of a nervous game, like it always is, right? It's a tough game. It always is. So it'll be interesting to see how we line up. But what do you think, Josh?
Yeah, I mean, the big one for me would be Joel Veltman. If he was fit, I miss him so much. He just adds such a level of just experience to that back line. And Palace is just his lifeblood, right? That massive amount of shithousery he can do. But I don't even know how close he is to coming back. Have you heard anything? I don't feel like we've had anything clear.
No, they just keep saying he's not available. There's been very little detail. As far as I could see, he's just sort of constantly on the absentee list, but without much sort of context behind it. Which in Albion terms, but in Albion terms probably means we'll literally never see him again.
Yeah, Paul Solly, speaking of. But just one more thing before we wrap is a stat I wanted to drop is that Gomez scored 7 goals now in all competitions, right? As you said, I know a lot are against Barnsley, but he scored 7 goals in all competitions this season. 6 of those goals have come against Yorkshire clubs. He loves playing Yorkshire clubs. For some reason,
that's a good stat.
He just absolutely loves it.
Some random Paraguayan with a hatred for Yorkshire. Yeah.
Real beef, yeah.
And I think his other one was, his first goal, I think, was our 400th goal in the Premier League.
It's a lot of goals.
I could see.
Is Palace Hertz's 50th game in the Premier League?
Yeah, I think it is. Yesterday was either 48 or 49.
Okay.
So
we'll have to see then.
Didn't I see he's only lost 3 times at home during that time? Is that right?
Yeah, because it is. Because no, you're right. Because we haven't lost. Yesterday was 9, so 9 unbeaten. I think after yesterday's one. So yeah, you'd look at it and go, he's not lost. I can't. Obviously, lost at home to Palace last season. That was one of them. Who else did we lose to at home last year?
I'm not sure.
Arsenal, I think we lost at home to last year, didn't we? I have a feeling we lost to Arsenal, Palace. I don't think we lost to United, did we? No, we beat United. Spurs, we came back. Chelsea, we beat. I think who would have been. Definitely Arsenal, definitely Palace.
There are only a handful of us unbeaten at home. Arsenal, Bournemouth, Brighton, Sunderland, and Palace, just as everyone predicted. The team's unbeaten at home. But I mean, that says it all, right? 2 wins, 3 draws at home. Palace, they don't lose at all. Draw against Forest, a draw against Sunderland, beating Liverpool, beating Brentford, and a draw against Bournemouth. So they they don't care who they play, really. They're quite happy to just keep it tight and keep it as a draw, although the last draw was 3-3, so maybe not that tight. But I thought that, I think that a draw would be incredible. Like, I would take a draw every day of the week. Run with the draw, because we do have a run of fixtures here that we really need to get some results from. And it started with the Leeds game, a draw away at Palace, and then a win at Brentford, at home to Brentford, draw away at Forest, depending on what they're looking like or whether we want to go for a win there. I'm not sure what they're going to look like by then. And then home to Villa, home to West Ham. Like, that period of games, like, we need to pick up a lot of points because we're more than capable of doing so.
Agreed.
All right, cool. Well, last thing then, man of the match for yesterday?
Karaoke.
He was really good. I think he's coming on leaps and bounds. I was going to say Mente. I think just that yesterday doesn't happen without his contributions.
Same. I was going to go Mente as well for that reason alone. Like, he was a bit hard done by not getting a goal. There was one particular moment where I really thought he should have got it on target at least, but pulled it wide, didn't he? But I thought his decision making was way better yesterday. And big shout out to Bart Verbruggen for that great save at the end with his leg, by the way, to keep it a clean sheet, because we proper went to sleep in that last 10 minutes. Like you said, Craig, like, bring on a couple of academy lads and keep a clean sheet. He was forced to proper make a good save there, and I thought he did really well.
Yeah, I've always thought Verbruggen is good. I think defensively we're just quite frail, but I don't think it's the goalkeeper. I mean, like, there were some unforced errors last season. I think this season he's been a hell of a lot better. Despite us not keeping a clean sheet. But yeah,
because I agree with you. I'm going to look that up for next week, because I agree with you. He was number one, right, in head of Onana, even with errors leading to goals from a goalkeeper's perspective. I do not recall one this season so far. So yeah,
I'm with you. I think this year he's just been left where we've had bad moments is where he's been left exposed by bad defending elsewhere, and there's not much. It's often not much he can do. So I'm with you. None stick out in my mind from this season, certainly.
No, not yet. Wait till we go to Sellers. It all goes wrong. All right, we will be back next weekend to chat Palace, and then Brentford after that. Long ball specialists, the London Stoke that we're seeing developed by Keith Andrews. Is that the same Keith Andrews that plays centre midfielders for us?
Yeah.
Yes.
What a legend. All right, cool. I wanted to ask that to anybody that would listen. I'm glad that I've been confirmed. All right, great. So we will be next week for Palace. I pray to God that it's a happy one, because
that's a Sunday game, isn't it? Is it Sunday the game?
No, Saturday 3:00, isn't it?
All right, because if it's a diabolical result, I do need 24 hours notice. So
yes. You're not the only one. It's the 9th. It's the 9th. So you're right. It is a Sunday game, Robin. I apologize for my lack of ball knowledge. It's 2:00 on a Sunday. So great. It'll be televised even more.
I think it's because they must be playing in Europe. They must be playing in Europe on Thursday. Are they? Is that why it's been moved?
Usually that is why they're moved. So I would assume.
I'll take a look.
So.
Let's hope they're on a long.
Otherwise, it's a wrap. I don't think it's been moved for TV, has it? Unless it has been moved for TV.
Yeah, they are. They're playing AZ Alkmaar at home, though.
Oh, fair enough.
That'll be a tough game, though.
I mean, they've got that crazy run in December, haven't they? They've got like 4 games in 8 days or something. Do you see this?
But this is what I wanted to say before. They have a good 11. They do not have the squad to do Thursday, Sundays. No. So like the longer they stay in that competition, obviously like they should be one of the favorites to win it. But the longer that goes on, the more their Premier League status is gonna their position. Sorry, their status isn't under threat. But like I can see them dropping down the table a little bit when they start doing Thursday, Sunday like nearly every week. That's tough.
So I think with the conference, obviously with the new format, you get 2 extra group games effectively, don't you? Anyway, it's gone from 6 to 8. Anyway, so you've got to fit in an extra 2 Thursdays that you wouldn't have had ordinarily on top of that.
And these international breaks won't keep coming either. Like, and It's tough. I think we found that as well in the Europa League, right? Like it's with a squad where you don't have two different teams like Chelsea does, right? Like it's tough to bring all of those best players, have them play Thursday in Cyprus, and then come back and play a Premier League game on the Sunday. Like it takes its toll. It is at the moment, they're doing great at the moment, but I feel like
and Glasner's just not resting anyone, is he? I mean, you look at that, like he's relentlessly picking that same 11, basically, until he can't anymore.
And you can't blame him, right? Like I get it.
No, absolutely not.
Sooner or later, you're right. Like it's going to it catches up with every team that aren't a Chelsea or a United of yesteryear and Arsenal and players teams like that. I mean, even this week with Arsenal, like the players they brought out that were obviously their backup players looked constantly outmanned and outnumbered by the Albion at times. Like that was the part of the area where we really caused them a lot of trouble, right? Like they were just clearly not at the same level as standard Arsenal players. That 15-year-old lad, like I enjoyed that Baleba felt the need to just bully him mercilessly, but like it showed, right? Like it showed that depth there, like they have Europe and the Premier League and the cups to deal with. Like, sorry, we're going to play a 15-year-old for a little bit and we're going to get bailed out of jail by Saka coming on and changing the game, right? It is what it is. But yeah, I'm hoping in the kindest possible way, because I never wish injury on anyone. So like, I'm trying to think of like a non-long-term harmful injury, but just like whatever non-long-term harmful injury Mateta can get between now and next Sunday would be absolutely lovely, because he's in the form of his life as well.
Yeah, I mean, just like you want him to sort of sprain his ankle, just like getting out of the shower or something, don't you? Just like something innocuous.
Tread on a plug.
Yeah.
Severe foot bruise for 8 days and then can come back. Yeah. And he's exactly the sort of player that Dunk has like caused problems with in the past, right?
Yeah.
Like, he is that big, tall, mobile striker that knows how to finish that like you just don't want Dunk encountering. So we'll see. All right. Well, we'll probably end up having to risk doing a full-time pod, which is going to be very risky. But
we're betting. It's a gamble.
We'll see.
Could well be a Monday one, that one.
All right, we will be back next week regardless. Have a wonderful week, everybody. And yeah, we will chat in a week's time, and hopefully it's a happy one.
Cheers all.